These are pocket pinups. They're an informal history of the 1950s pinup magazine by Max Allan Collins. Last year, I took 2 of the cards from this stack right here and turned them into plus-size pinups. And this year, we're going to do the same thing, but with a little twist. So hi everyone, I'm Ward and welcome to my channel Wardrawsalot, and this week we're going to be redrawing these pinups. This card collection is one of 3 different ones that I have actually, but I'm slowly trying to get through this first pack right here, which as you can tell has the lovely Betty page in front of it. Once we open the pocket pinups, we can see that there are a bunch of cards inside. Each card is from the cover of a magazine that displayed a pinup girl on it. All of which are absolutely gorgeous, but the thing is I see a very common theme here, which is they all have bigger breasts, wider hips, a smaller waist, and frankly, none of them are women of color. At least not upon looking at them. So that's why I kind of want to change up these pinups and do something different with them. There are so many beautiful cards to choose from. What I do is sift through the entire pack until I find the ones that speak to me, and this time these 2 spoke to me. On the right, we have the pinup of Eve Meyer from the Boyd magazine, and on the left, we have the pinup of Irish McCalla from the Focus magazine. The first pinup we're going to be redrawing is the one of Eve Meyer. I decided to take her pose and replace it with a plus-size model. I felt like it would look really cute if I had a, plus-size girl do this pose, and have her imitate the sensuality that Eve Meyer is giving in this photo shoot. In case you guys didn't know, this is the second video in this series, and hopefully I'll start doing them more often because I really want to get through this card pack, and it'll kind of force me to draw girls more, so that's why I really want to push myself to do them. In the first video, I definitely did state that there is nothing wrong with the women on these cards already. They are gorgeous and beautiful. I think that if they were here today and they saw that there were different body standards and that they didn't have to look a certain way in order to get a photo shoot or in order to be called beautiful, then I think that they would really appreciate something like this. The fact that we've changed a little bit and that not everybody has kind of like the same standard when it comes to beauty. I also stated in that first video that this card pack was from the 1950s, so a lot of time has passed since then. So it's not just today's modern standards that have different kind of beauty attached to it, but all throughout the decades like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the noughties, which is the early 2000s, and now. For example, during the 80s there was a huge workout craze, and everybody was working out and trying to get fit and tone and have some kind of muscularness to them. But then the 90s rolled through, and then all of a sudden something called heroin chic was very popular, where you're super skinny and it's almost worrying to the point that's how skinny it would be. But there's so much more to a body than just a fad or a craze. Your body is your body, and it's beautiful the way it is, unless you feel otherwise and you want to change it in a healthy and mentally stable manner, okay? Everybody should feel that they love their body because it's the only one that you have, and hopefully everyone gets to feel that way one day. More than ever, there has been societal pressure on women and men, surprisingly enough, to look fit, look thin, and look good. And you don't have to be fit and thin to look good. You are pretty, okay? This is something I have to stress because one beauty standard isn't everyone's beauty standard. That's why I'm making these kinds of cards and drawing these kinds of characters, and I make sure to include different sizes and skin tones and different aesthetics and all this stuff, because everybody's beautiful in their own way, and you don't have to kind of conform to what everybody else is doing in order to be beautiful. Now, that's a lot easier said than done, especially for people who are still young and figuring themselves out. But over time, you will come to hopefully love and accept yourself. And if you're already there, I'm so happy for you, and I only hope that you love yourself more than ever. Now, with that being said, I want to take a look at the card of Eve Meyer with you guys. This is what I did last time, and I really liked the idea of going over the card with everybody and reading their bio for the first time. So I don't know anything about these pinup girls until I read them with you. So on the Eve Meyer card, it's by Boyd Magazine, and as you can see, it's from November 1956. The magazine was 15 cents. So it says, as the little title right there, 2,000-year history of lovemaking. For some reason, these cards have like the dumbest titles on the side, and it's like, it's so like, it's written for the male audience, especially of the time. So it's going to be very like, here's a hot girl, and then here's like a dumb title next to it, so it grabs the attention of them. And so they could buy the magazine, but it's mostly the girls that are the selling point and the stories on the side. Once we take a look at the back of the card, it says, of course, pocket pinups. Bold is the... Is that? Oh, I've been reading it wrong. It's Bold, not Boyd. Oh my god. It's Bold Magazine. Okay. So it says Bold Magazine, November 1956. The model is Eve Meyer, and the classification, because each girl came with a classification, is Pinup Queen. It says Eve Meyer projected a pouty availability that, coupled with her almost cartoonishly exaggerated hourglass figure, made her stand out from the pack. But her biggest claim to fame was not her bosom, oh my god, but her bosom buddy, husband Russ Meyer, former World War II cameraman turned cheesecake photographer, future king of the nudie movies. 50s men mags were filled with Russ Meyer pinups. His models included Bara Hoffman, who became actress Barbara Eden. But Earthy Eve was his star. Even if she did stop short of the completely topless nudity her husband demanded of most models. Oh, ew, I don't like that. Russ became a true auteur of the raunch. His achievements including his first nudie cutie, the immoral Mr. Tease in 1959, and The Ground and Recorded Breaking Vixen in 1968. Eve in The Handyman 1960 featured his then wife, who even after their divorce was a co-partner in their production/distribution company. Eve Productions, she, like so many blonde goddesses of the 50s, is tragically gone, killed in a 1977 plane crash at 44? What the f- You just gonna end it on that? Like she just died? Like, okay, no rest in peace, nothing? One thing that I definitely don't like from these cards is how they kind of... Well, not kind of, they do objectify the woman to like the utmost max, as if she only existed to become this sex object for people, and it's very aggravating reading through them sometimes. Like that line that was like, her biggest achievement wasn't just her bosom, like, bro? Like, okay? We can't just like say that something else, like literally anything else. But honestly, what do I expect? It's a bunch of dudes writing the magazine in the 1950s, so of course it's gonna read today as horrible, and honestly, I think it would read back then as horrible, especially if women were reading these magazines. That's probably why so many uproars went on through the years about, you know, respecting women, women's rights, and etc. Also, the fact that he would kind of force his models to go topless, or at least demanded it, if we don't want to say the word force, whatever. He demanded it out of them, and they all had to do it, basically, was kind of, you know, disgusting. I don't like that at all, but I mean, hey, at least they included that in there, so I know that that dude was a piece of shit. Let's kind of shift focus from that description to the model herself. From the cover, we could tell that she's sitting in front of like a fireplace, and she's on this carpet with these two pillows in front of her. She's leaned over while she's kind of sitting on her legs, and she's kind of looking very sensually over to the camera. It's very like, come hither, you know what I mean? I guess that's why they kind of said the in the description that she has this pouty availability, which I can definitely see that from the photo. It's very pouty, but at the same time it's very come to me. So she definitely has an extreme skill when it comes to that, because that's not easy to portray on a photo, especially, you know, I don't know how to take pictures, so whenever I see models take a picture, I am always in shock and awe, because I don't know how to have facial expressions in the slightest. So seeing this is honestly incredible. She has this really blonde curly hair, these kind of teardrop earrings. I think they're teardrop earrings that almost look kind of diamondy. I don't know if they are. This very like sheer dress where if you really look closely, it's kind of hard on screen right here to see, but I'll kind of enlarge the image the image so you can see is that her skin kind of pokes through the dress, so it's kind of sheer to a degree, so it kind of gives a little bit more to the eye on what her body looks like. Now, taking everything and translating it into a plus-size woman was very fun. I made sure that when I was doing this pose, I really took into account how her body shape is. From the original photo, you could see that she's really leaned over, and that's genuinely because she has no stomach there. But in the plus size one right here, you can tell that she's only leaned over so much because her stomach is going to be in the way. So it's not going to be as, downwards as it would be in the original because there's something there. She's also going to be sitting up a little higher because of the meat on her legs. They're not going to have her sit directly close to the ground. There's going to be some height to her. I really wanted to make sure I made her arms thick enough in the photo and that the dress is kind of going in accordance with it. The dress, I decided to go with a kind of pinky color instead, mostly because that beige color was very difficult to achieve with markers, and it was just not working when I was trying to plan it out. So I went with this lovely kind of lilac color instead, and I think it complements her skin tone a little bit better as well. I tried to keep the same kind of makeup, which was these beautiful red lips and very simple kind of eye makeup going on. Her hair is short, curly, and black with blue undertones, and it really made this character look so cute once it was done all together. The next card we're going to be doing is of Irish McCalla, and I ended up coming up with this character right here. Now, I know what you're thinking, Ward, this isn't a plus-size girl. And you're right, it's not. And the reason why is because after doing the first video, I thought that it would be fun if not only I did plus-size girls, but I touched on other kinds of beauty standards that undergo criticisms and are kind of not the standard. But there will always be one fatty in the series, okay? So no matter how many videos I do of this series, one of the girls will always be plus size, especially because I like drawing them chunky. I really do. So one of them will always be plus size, and the other one will kind of deal with other beauty standards that are always under criticism or aren't looked at as the quote-unquote perfect standard. And I'll talk about how that involves this drawing in a little bit, but before we do that, let's go over Irish McCalla's pinup card. So this one is by Focus magazine, and it was 10 cents at the time. It says it was done in September, but I'm not sure which year, unless it says it on the back. Yes, September 1954. It says, as the title, New Sex Glands Attack Cancer. I don't know how much medical standing that has today. It's been like, practically 80 years or whatever, so take that with a grain of salt. It says on the bottom over here, to the Joy Boy Emperor, he fiddles while Indochina bleeds. So this was probably very of its time with some political standing. On the back of the card, it says, Focus, September 1954, model Irish McCalla, classification pinup queen / starlet. It says the small screen's most famous jungle queen hailed from Pawnee, Nebraska, and was that rarity of top figure models. Her cheesecake photos actually led to a film and TV career. Before Sheena, the statuesque impossibility cantilevered beauty enjoyed a pinup popularity rivaling Betty Page. Wow, really? An art student and beach bunny in California in the early 50s, she was discovered by a Globe Photo Service photographer and modeling assignments. She never posed nude. Led to bit parts on TV. The Will Eisner / Jerry Iger comic book character Sheena, the female Tarzan, was her starring TV role. The 1955-56 series ran a mere 26 episodes, but its wide syndication and McCalla's starring leopard skin-clad frame seared it into the memories of male baby boomers. Wow. Today an accomplished Western artist, McCalla remains a lovely, gracious woman. Though she hasn't acted in years, she does occasionally appear at film and comic conventions. Her 1959 zombie / Nazi horror flick She Demons is available on video, as are several volumes of Sheena episodes. Reading these descriptions is always fun because although some of them are written, very poorly, sometimes they give insight into the model. Like, I had no idea she was an artist, and I had no idea that she rivaled Betty Page. And Betty Page, especially at that time, was a huge pinup star and was considered one of the most beautiful women, and in my opinion, still a very beautiful woman, before and after she gained weight, because I know that was a problem for some people. Bullshit. So anyway, but to see that she definitely rivaled Betty Page was crazy. As I was figuring out how to draw this character right here off of the McCalla photo shoot, I googled up how tall McCalla was, because her limbs are so long. I was like, man, she must be like 6 feet or something. And I looked it up, and she's 5'9", which is fairly tall, especially in girl standards, because I feel like the average is 5'6", 5'7", something like that, I think anyway, but don't quote me on that. So to see that she was 5'9" and had these beautiful long limbs, I thought was really pretty. Her height and figure, I guess that's why they called her statuesque, is kind of, I guess, why they picked her to be Sheena, the female jungle queen, and I could see why. And apparently she was fairly toned, so I wanted to play off of that idea with this character right here, using the idea of masculinity. A lot of the time in the girl world, looking masculine is a massive disappointment, and although I understand why, because I was there at one point, now that I've grown older and come to understand, honestly, that's just because of the beauty standards that were put in place. That a woman has to look super feminine and rounded in the face, and she can't have too much muscle, and that she has to be a certain height to be considered attractive, is all part of a beauty standard that is only truly correlated towards, the non-person of color masses, let's say. It's rooted in not looking masculine like, certain cultures. Like, not everybody has a super feminine, soft face. Many cultures, for example, Native American women, have very strong cheekbones and jawlines and very sculpted features. So a lot of the time, in order to, let's just be real here, make fun of women of color, they would call them masculine. So as a result, the masculinity trope on women became a massive struggle with a lot of girls, but it's dumb. It is stupid. If you have a masculine face or masculine features, then that's perfectly fine. If you feel as though you are still a woman, then that is what you are. That is what you are comfortable with, and who you are, then that's fine. To reflect upon the masculinity, I made sure to beef up this girl's upper body and make it wide. I also gave her big arms, because again, that's considered a masculine trait. I also made sure her waist wasn't super small, because, a girl with a smaller waist is what's considered attractive. Stupid, yet again. So I made sure it was wide enough. I gave her very little hips, because wide hips is a beauty standard. Again, dumb. So I gave her narrow hips to kind of imitate a more masculine body, with these very big legs, because, women have more muscles in their legs, especially if they work out often. And I gave her a smaller chest, because when you work out your upper body a lot, it is going to reflect on your chest muscles. I also played upon Irish McCalla's face, which from the card you could see is super sculpted. You could see her cheekbones and her jawline, and I wanted to really emphasize that here, because a soft face is usually considered feminine, and this was honestly a little different for me, because I always draw feminine faces even on my men, so drawing a more masculine face was fun. It was kind of different. I also added a little tooth gap just because I thought it would look cute with her whole look, and honestly, from what I know, teeth plays a huge part in beauty standards, and to have a tooth gap there was honestly really cute. Here are the final drawings from both the plus size and the masculine girl, and I honestly think that they came out so cute and I love them so much. I can't tell which one I like of the two of them more. They honestly are just so pretty to me either way. So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye!